Hello and welcome to another edition of the Typical Boro podcast. I'm your host, Steve Dixon. Please keep subscribing to our YouTube channel. The numbers are going up really well, so please keep doing that if you can. If you're listening via other devices, other platforms, please rate and review. That's always a bonus for us. And as always, you can hear us on the Red Radio every Tuesday, 6 till 7. Right, I have on my screen Mr. Graham Bandera. Welcome back, Graham. You okay?
Cheers to go. Yeah, all good. Good to go.
And we have a radio celebrity of BBC T's fan panel. He's been on the Big Red Borough pod with myself. It's Chris Saunders. Welcome, Chris.
Gents, how you doing?
All right, well. Chris. Good to see you, mate.
Despite yesterday's result.
Have you two boys thawed out from the Shiverside Stadium yet? Or?
It was cold yesterday.
Yeah,
Baltic. We had nothing to warm us up.
Well, that's what we're going to get talking about to start with anyway. We've got plenty to get through today. Blackburn, Middlesbrough, bogey team. Middlesbrough have, as you know, about 86 bogey teams. Blackburn, though... Every week we say that, don't we? But Blackburn actually must be at the top of the tree. We've only beat them twice in the last 19 home games. I think that's correct. So they must be at the top of the tree for bogey sides. Last week's podcast, I tried to predict the team. I'd done fairly well. The team yesterday was Glover, Dyksdale, Edmondson and Clark, Engel, Barlasser, Lowe McCabe came in, Hamilton, Gilbert, McGree and Bergzag up front. I think I said Jones would play. Obviously, Mr. Isaiah Jones has disappeared off to Luton Town, so that's why he wasn't there. And I got Hackney and Barlasser wrong. Obviously, Hackney started on the bench and Barlasser started. So that was the team. Fairly strong, I would say. It wasn't a weakened side by any stretch of the imagination. A team that I would personally think was capable of beating a Blackburn team who made changes themselves. That wasn't how it worked out. Obviously, Middlesbrough lost again to Andres Weiman's goal on the 70th minute. I'll start with you, Graham. Your thoughts on the first half, and then we'll come to Chris for the second half.
It was diabolical, to be honest. It's absolutely scandalous. I came out of the ground feeling slightly cheated, if I'm honest, because I don't believe the players put in maximum effort to get a result. There was an apathy about the players, the stadium. You know that it wasn't a great turnout, but we expected that. We know these things happen now. Some of them got poor crowd, and that happens now early rounds of the FA Cup. So that's not an excuse. Players that are coming in, champing at the bit week on week to try and get in that team, and they just didn't impose themselves at all. It was so flat, insipid, and it was passionless. There was nothing. It felt like a pre-season training game or possession game in training, where the coach says, "Look, just keep the ball. There's no goals in this game. We just got to keep the ball for as long as we can." And that's how it felt. And Blackburn were no good, and we were worse. And we just couldn't rouse ourselves to put in wave after wave of attack. Nobody seemed willing to want to do that, and it was a tragedy, really. I thought yesterday there was two cup shocks. There was the Plymouth victory at Brentford, and there was ours, because I couldn't believe how shocking we were. It was so bad. I'm still angry. I mean, I could take defeat. It's not a problem if you go out there with purpose. There was no momentum to the game. You asked me to discuss the first half. What actually happened in the first half?
Well, I tell you what, in the whole 90 minutes, Bandy, the whole 90 minutes, Middlesbrough managed 2 shots on target.
There you go.
Blackburn had 1 shot on target, and Blackburn had 1 corner, and yet they still beat with 1-0.
I mean, I know Chris is going to discuss second half, but at one stage, sort of late into the second half, I'm thinking, if we get an equaliser here, I've got to sit through half an hour of this garbage. So it's a bit of a relief in the end just to get out and get home. I hated every single second of it. And we can't have any more games like that, certainly in the league. Dear me. So, yeah, there was nothing to discuss, just apart from how bad we were. We could go through players individually if you want, but there was only 2 players for me in the whole game which I wouldn't even say stood out, but caught the eye. Dyksdale for his work rate, his endeavour, and trying to spark things from that right-hand side, because he had no help from Hamilton. It was atrocious. And Lowe McCabe, I just wanted him to touch the ball as many times as possible. just to get his confidence up, because he looks a very accomplished player, technically quality. Though I like the way, so I'm picking a positive here. So when he's receiving the ball, I like the way he scans, he swivels his head, he knows his next pass, he knows where he's going to take the ball away, and often he took the ball away from danger. So he was a plus. Dyke still just for trying to keep things going, but the rest, dear me, wow, just abysmal.
Well, I agree with that. The only positive from yesterday was Lowe McCabe. I thought it was a decent display by the young man, where others around him with more experience went missing and failed to help him, actually. But Chris, your thoughts on yesterday's game?
So I know Michael Carrick said after the game, for the most part, it was an even game. And I don't think the shots on target accurately reflects just how bad that could have been. I think that could have been another Stoke City in the League Cup result. When you look, they hit the crossbar first half. Tom Glover with that inexplicable error he made. They missed an open goal from that. They got the goal. They almost scored after the goal. That could have been 3-4, 5-0. It was so frustrating, and I was sat there. Normally for the cup games, I like to try and get a different seat, different view, different perspective of things. So we were actually sat behind the dugout yesterday, and I'm sat there 55 minutes in thinking, we've been rubbish, we've been crap. However, we're still in the game here, it's still 0-0. If we are proactive here, we bring Force, Hackney and Latom, we can nick this. And I just sat there and watched Carrick wait another 10 minutes to bring Marcus Force on. Like for Hamilton, which for all we know, that probably was pre-planned, to give Force minutes. So that didn't change anything. 5 minutes later, they score. And then 6 minutes later, he brings Latt and Hackney on. and I'm just sat there thinking, they've settled into a low block now. Breaking them down to be like Clare and Everest now. The time to make the changes, to be proactive, was at 0-0 when the game was there to be won at 1-0. It's a massive uphill battle to try and do it. And it's just infuriatingly predictable now. It's the same. I know you guys listen to this pod. You guys mentioned it, game management, substitutions. It's infuriating how slow our bench are to react to what's going on the pitch. The pace is just, of which they respond, it's glacial. You need one of those time-lapse cameras to film them, making their moves as to what's going on the pitch. It's, like I said, I thought we were awful, but there was a time where we could have turned that around, we could have won that game. And as with a lot of games this season, we just let it pass us by. And before we knew it was too late, and it was another disappointing result.
I agree, and I've got that written down in my notes. I was going to bring it up to you guys, but obviously you're on the ball yourselves. And, again, substitutions coming on too late, a manager not being on the front foot, thinking about how he can win the game. It's almost like we've got to go behind before he sort of comes out and does something to try and change the course of the game. But it's also obvious to everybody in the stands. Everybody's sitting there frozen to the seats, waiting for Blackburn to score. And they had a couple of chances, like Chris alluded to earlier, where the goalkeeper's made a howler. We got away with it. That was the moment to go, right, poof, we've got away with one now. We need to change something before Blackburn score. Let's get Latt on. Whatever other substitutions we need to make to get ourselves back in this game. But he sat there, like you said, Chris, interesting to see you behind the dugout. What when you're watching behind the dugout, do you see anything going on between Carrick and Woodgate, Ledbetter? What is anything happening? Because I just seem to see Michael Carrick moping around with his hands in his pockets, not doing very much. And as I say, we'll go a goal down again to Blackburn, who are the perfect side that are just going to go low block, 10 behind the ball, game over. And week after week after week after week, Middlesbrough fail to break these teams down. As I said last week's podcast, 16 home wins under Carrick from the last 37 games. Once they scored, Chris, that was game over, wasn't it?
Totally done. Everyone in the stadium knew it was done. And it's frustrating. When I left the game, one of the messages I got after the game just said lack of intensity. And I was out in town for a bit afterwards. And sure enough, the first person who came to me to talk about the game just said to me, no intensity. And it's just so frustrating that if we as fans, we haven't played at the highest level of professional football, we haven't got a coaching badge between us, we don't have coaching teams around us. how did the management team not see this and address it? I know it's easier said than done to increase the intensity which we play at, but this has been a problem. This isn't a new problem. This has been a problem for 12 months now, and I'm not seeing anything done to improve it. It's so frustrating how we seem to take ridiculous risks around our own box, and then when we get to the other box, we just seem to slowly horseshoe it round the box. People are scared to take shots.
There you go. That's a massive problem.
What got me was the one decent chance we created all game was when Matt Clark just smacked it and went long, and Alex Gilbert got the end of it. That's the only decent chance we had, and that was from going long. When we were horseshoeing it and playing possession football, we're not doing anything.
No. Graham, Bora Lee on Twitter, who's a good lad, he lives up this way in Tynemouth, Lee, and I've pinched one of his stats, so thanks for this, Lee. He says that Middlesbrough at home this season are averaging 3.9 shots on target at home this season. Now, considering we always concede goals, that's more or less saying Middlesbrough have to score every other shot to win a game.
100%, yeah. How many is that?
So that to me stood out. I was like, wow, we're basically having to score every other shot just to try and win a game, and that's at home.
Yeah,
that's really alarming. It's frightening actually. Michael Carrick, Bandy.
Mm.
If we don't make the playoffs this season, has it gone stale under him? For me, his inability and his stubbornness to adapt or change, yet again, happened yesterday. Middlesbrough don't have a plan B in games when it's going wrong, like what Chris was saying. He's looking at the bench and nothing's happening. I watched Liverpool the other day put Virgil van Dijk up front to try and win a game of football, to try and mix the tactics up. I watch Liverpool. I know I'm not comparing Middlesbrough to Liverpool. Obviously, they've got better players, better squad, blah, blah, blah. But as a football club, surely you should still be able to adapt, change your tactics if things aren't going right. I didn't see any of that happening yesterday. I just seen Middlesbrough doing the Middlesbrough thing, sideways, recycling the ball, left to right, right to left. People frightened to take a shot, put a cross in. Is Michael Carrick's time at Middlesbrough starting to go a bit stale, Graham? Do we need to make them playoffs?
I wouldn't say in the long term it's stale. I just think he's gone through a bit of a sticky spell now because we've been hampered with injuries. We've lost our key player. We've lost the engine room of the team, the heartbeat of the team in Morris. I sort of alluded to that when that injury, first came upon us. That was a season-defining injury for me, and he's been out far too long. And we've somehow limped over the line. But if he was still in the centre of that team, we'd have been a lot more better off, I'm sure. We probably would have progressed yesterday. But I don't think he's under massive pressure, but the alarm bells are ringing now. The natives are getting restless, so to speak, because yesterday was unacceptable. If we look at the game in isolation, it was garbage. We've got to forget that now. We've gone about that all day. The team he put out probably got the result that he deserved, if I'm honest, but they were capable of beating Blackburn, but they just didn't show up. They were terrible. The league is a completely different kettle of fish. We go to Portsmouth next. We've got to be ready for that because they'll be bang at it, raucous crowd, tight pitch. That could be horrendous for us if we're not at it. So I think the league is something now we've got to obviously focus on. And we generally get a different dynamic in the league. We've been a bit hot and cold, hit and miss. We're not winning enough. But Carrick would spin that and say, well, we've only lost a couple in so many, 12, whatever, which, is good, but there's too many draws in there as well. We're not turning draws into wins. We need wins to stay in that pack. Otherwise, we could fall away quite comfortably. We're very brittle. Wounded animal, I would say, at the moment because of the injuries and the way key players are performing. Azar's got his player of the month. We've not seen him since. It's worrying. York, obviously, is he going to be here for the remainder of the season? I hope so. I think he will be. So we've got something to go out there. He's the catalyst for everything good that we do. So I think we're a bit of a mixed bag, but we're finding it tough at the moment. We look spent. We're running on empty, I think, and we need some bodies in to rejuvenate us. So hopefully this transfer window can spark a bit of activity and kickstart the season again almost. We've sort of got to a finish line and we're absolutely knackered and we almost need a bit of Lucozade to get us going again.
Like there needs something.
That's the sort of metaphor for where we're at the moment. We do look spent. We look absolutely knackered yesterday. We just looked like we didn't want to turn up and play, and that was so obvious.
I think we need something stronger than Lucas Aid, Bandy.
Possibly, yeah.
Chris, just your thoughts on Michael Carrick at the moment. I feel like, it's rinse and repeat. We've seen this all before. Start the season poorly, rejuvenate ourselves, go on a bit of a run. Third year in a row, we've won out the FA Cup at the third round stage. Brighton out, Villa out. Yesterday, Blackburn out. 3 home games out. I know it's different opposition, different teams, but same result. What's your thoughts on Michael Carrick? If we don't say we didn't make the playoffs, has he run his course and maybe we're looking for a change in the summer, or is it the case of hopefully we'll make the playoffs and even if we don't go up, he's got us still in and around it, and we'll give him another opportunity to get to the promised land?
I do think that we will finish in the playoffs. I do. I just think it won't necessarily be from our own genius. A lot of it other than the top 3 teams or top 4 teams, it's just not a very good league. So I think we will get in the playoffs. Do I have any confidence when we get there we'll do anything? Not really. Does anyone have any confidence that we'd string 3 performances and 3 results together? Not really. Especially if, as it stands, we play Sunderland first at Riverside and then have to go to the Stadium of Light. I don't really hold a great deal of optimism, but I do think we'll get in the playoffs. And I do think that Michael Carrick would then have enough credit in the bank to take us into the next season. If we don't get the playoffs, for me, there's absolutely no excuses. People keep telling me what a gem of a manager he is, how fantastic it is, the best thing that's happened to us in years. You're going to rue the day he leaves, blah blah blah. And as much as I'm desperate to see it, I just don't see it in a minute. I simply just don't see it. How people keep telling me what us visionary, revolutionary manager he is, and I just see rinse and repeat. I just see slow start every season, defence absolute shambles, hasn't improved at any point. It did improve 1 point during his reign when he switched to wing backs, and then he ditched them after a while once players came back from injury. Just the recycling the ball, the home form. The frustrating thing for Middlesbrough fans is that he's clearly a really intelligent guy. He knows his stuff, played at the highest level. When it works, his football is unbelievable. It's an absolute joy to watch. But the number of times his football works is increasingly diminishing. It's looking to me like that 3-game period, the QPR, the Luton, and the Oxford.
4, 5, and 6. Yeah,
that's just looking like a purple patch to me. If you take those 3 games out and look at the rest of the season, it's not great. Take the game management, the substitutions. If I could see that there was progress being made on any of those things, I think people would be a bit less frustrated. I don't think Sunderland being up there above us helps at all. Again, people keep telling us what a fantastic, wonderful manager as well. And another thing that frustrates me is that all the things that are wrong, people will blame someone else. Like fantastic football, scoring goals, that's Michael Carrick. But then when you say, well, what about the defence, this, that? Oh, no. It's Steve Gibson's fault. It's the fans' fault. It's the players' fault. I had people telling me yesterday the defensive problems are Jonathan Woodgate's fault. I'm sorry, that doesn't wash for me.
It's just rank bad play and individual errors, isn't it? Every single week. It's not Woodgate.
And if there is one thing that we are top of the league on, which is errors leading to goals. We are top of the league for that with 7 goals. So that tells me that. So some could say, right, okay, that shows the players are letting the manager down. I would look at it and say, is the manager asking these players to do something they're not capable of doing? And I have no doubt if we give Michael Carrick a massive pot of money, 60, 70 million pounds, so there you go, put a team together, we'd smash this league, no problem, and go up. But I don't think that these players are good enough to play the way that he wants to play consistently. And people can keep saying the players aren't good enough. Rob Edwards, did he have the perfect squad at Luton when he took them up? Did Kieran McKenna have the perfect squad last season when he took Ipswich up? Does LeBris have the perfect squad at Sunderland? No, you adapt to the squad you've got. and I just don't see enough adapting to this squad for Michael Carrick. I just see a manager who has a philosophy, has a way of playing. Nothing wrong with that, but I don't think these players are capable of playing the way he wants to play long term.
So, Chris, that's brilliant to bring into my next point now, because what I've got down to talk about now is this Middlesbrough squad. Are we actually as good as we think we are? Because in August, when we signed the new players and they came in, there was a lot of optimism with Conway and Micah Hamilton coming in. You know, we kept Lat, Hackney, Vandenberg were all still there, and we're all thinking we for the first time since Aito Karanka possibly, we could have a real good assault on the top two this season. I wasn't fearful of the teams that come down too much, even with the parachute payments, and I thought we could have a real good crack. But are we maybe not as good as we thought we were? Maybe, you know, some of our shortcomings that we didn't see in August are now being brutally exposed. I think we've got a problem in the goalkeeping area. I think we've got a problem at left back, which has been going on far too long now. The central midfield cover, I don't think we've got the required level of cover for central midfield, required quality to attack the top 2 or 3 places. Riley McGree, one of our key players, possibly our best player, way off it, which we didn't expect to see. If we had signed Riley McGree in August and I was watching this season, I would be thinking, why have we signed this guy? He's got no pace, he doesn't take anybody on, he's creating nothing, he's not scoring any goals. That's a huge loss to our sort of armoury, not having Riley McGree on form. Have we been found out a little bit, Graham?
I think we have, yeah. You know what I've been like most of the season, saying we can't lose sight of that top 2. That's got to be the aim. You know, the minimum is playoffs. Beyond playoffs is failure in my book. So we've got to stay in that area by hook or by crook, even by not playing well. At the moment, we're playing pretty terrible, to be honest, and we're leaking goals like a sieve. It's very bitty and littered up front. We're not getting joy. We've got players out injured. There's a lot of uncertainty who's going to be here still, you know, after January. So we've hit a rocky road at the moment. We've got to overcome that. If we can and put a run together, then I believe that we can stay where we are. But like Chris alluded to, we're somehow 5th still by other teams just slipping up, and it's the ones that we're trying to catch are a million miles ahead of us. They look so much more solid, much more equipped. They lose players, they don't moan about it, they just get on with it, they still put results out. So we've just got to stay in there and hopefully get some bodies in and quickly, because, you know, we're under pressure, and Carrick, like you rightly say, is under pressure. If we don't get in the playoffs, then his position would possibly be looked at. I'm not saying he should go, but is there anybody else out there banging on the door saying I'm far better than him? We don't know. He might, like Chris again rightly alluded to, that his stock, he's probably got enough in the bank to see him home for another year. But if it goes stale, he might not even want to be here. He might get annoyed with his players not being able to play the way he wants us to play. I'm a purist. I love seeing us play beautiful football through the thirds and passing teams off the park. But I can't bear seeing us make defensive mistake after defensive mistake every single game, which is costing us badly. It's horrific, some of the stuff we do. So,
Chris,
we're under pressure, and so's Carrick.
Chris, just to bring you in on this squad, were our expectations a little bit too high in the summer? Have we really got a squad capable of attacking that top 2, or are we actually where we should be, which is probably 5th or 6th at the moment?
So I always said at the start of the season, Leeds had by far the best squad in the league, but I still expect them to be champions. The only reason they're not clearing away is the goalkeeper shocking. After that, Sheffield United and Burnley, I think their squad is slightly better, but I don't think it's massively better. I mean, we drew them twice, we drew Burnley twice, we beat Sheffield United.
That's what's agonising, isn't it, Chris?
So we've shown in those games that they're not that much better than us. When I look at top 6 was always my aim, but I wanted us to at least sort of be in sort of where Sunderland are now, sort of get to this position, kind of in arm's reach of the top 2, kind of think us flirting with, will we, won't we push to that top 2. Top 2 was extinguished after 10 games. It was gone already because of the awful start. And when I look at the squad, people want to excuse me is that it isn't good enough. I think Rav van den Berg was talk of 10, 15 million pound bids. I'm looking at, Aidan Morris, we were signing him, saying, Premier League clubs would come and sign him. Finn Azaz, what we talking about him, 5, 6, 8, 10 million pounds. Hackney, people are talking 10 million pound. If McGree could stay fit, what would his fee be? We've got a 30 million pound rated Liverpool winger playing for us. We've got a 20 million pound striker playing for us. We've got Conway, we've got for 4 million. He's probably worth more because we've got him for 4 million because of his contract situation.
We should be 10 points clear.
I was just thinking we should Champions League, yeah.
But I'm looking at that squad and I'm thinking, well, let's have a look at Blackburn. Blackburn, a couple of points behind us. If they win the game and I'm with Portsmouth midweek, they're leapfrog us. What have their squad got? Danny Batt, we turfed him out years ago. Andres Weimann, who scored yesterday, they got him on a free. The star player's probably Todd Cadwell, who most people wouldn't have in our team.
My son's mate played up front yesterday for Blackburn, Harry Leonard. He at the bar. Yeah.
I did. Yeah. Really close.
He's a good player. He needs a run in the team. So we'll see how he goes.
Danny Batt was like prime Bobby Moore yesterday, wasn't he? Let's be honest.
He had Mount to mark. He had Bergzog. DMA. It's like a fish out of water up front.
They've just signed Adam Forshaw. If we signed Adam Forshaw, people's heads would be on Mars. But
mine would be.
How is this group of players so close to this so-called talented group of players? And I just think the thing with Eustace is that he understands just the basics of football. They keep it tight, solid base. They don't concede many goals, and you only need to score one to win a game. Which he's come up here now and done that twice to us now.
He's obviously signed players to suit his system, hasn't he? Where we get players and we don't quite know what to do with them. I'm still struggling to get my head around. We've got, I would say, games are won in midfield, central midfield. We've got a central midfielder now who I've never seen make a tackle all season. I think you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah.
What is he doing in the middle of that park, apart from strolling around? Lazy.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to put his foot in, just wants the ball and wants to give it 5-10 yards or hit these Hollywood balls out to play. Absolutely diabolical. No wonder we don't get anywhere through that pitch. And I think he sets the tone for the whole game. Talking about the atmosphere flat. It's flat because we don't move the ball quick enough. Everyone's just bored waiting for something to happen, side to side, crab football.
Chris, what Graham's saying there about Middlesbrough's makeup, and people think I'm a dinosaur when I keep saying this, but I think it's important. I think we lack leadership on the pitch. I think we lack people that are going to roll their sleeves up and battle and call each other out on the pitch and say, hey, this isn't good enough. You give me the ball in behind so I can get in and score a goal instead of going sideways and backwards and calling out defenders for not putting the foot in the head in where it hurts. Organisation. When you look back at the Cranker team that got promotion, which is, our best side for a good few years, Ben Gibson was a leader. Daniel Ayala was a leader. George Friend was a leader. Grant Ledbetter was a leader. David Nugent. These are all players. Adam Clayton, these are all players within our team that will be calling each other out on the pitch and, having a bit of quality. And I look around now watching this Middlesbrough side. Is it hurting them when we lose these games? No. Do you see any anger on the pitch when we concede a goal? Do you see people arguing with each other when we go 2-0 down away from home? I don't see any of that. And I think until we get some of it, and it's almost like the team are a mirror image of our manager, because I don't see it on the touchline either. I don't see the manager getting annoyed. I don't see the manager after games coming out and saying that's not good enough and calling people out. Now and again, surely we've got to have some passion either on the pitch or off the pitch to get us through these sticky patches, Chris.
I found it so frustrating yesterday that there was players there who haven't been in the first team. You're thinking, this is your opportunity now. Yeah. Go and show us why you should be in this starting 11. And other than McCabe, I thought the rest of them were just rubbish. Micah Hamilton, I don't want to beat up on him because young lad, blah blah blah. But you can see he's been coached at City by Pep. He stands wide and just recycles the ball. Look at what Pep's done to Grealish. That's the Man City wide player now. It's not beat your man, get the ball in the box, show a bit of skill. It's basically just stand wide and resettle possession. Absolutely no use to us. That's not what we need.
That's why it's so exciting watching Doak. Because as soon as he gets
Yeah.
it, you know he's going to take his man on. 9 times out of 10, he'll go wide, he'll whip it in, or he'll cut in.
Graham,
Yeah,
what's your
absolutely.
thoughts? Graham, what's your thoughts on this? Just because Chris has brought up Micah Hamilton, and like Chris says, this isn't a go in on Micah Hamilton. He's only a young lad, and you know it is what it is. But this is Michael Carrick on Micah Hamilton. I'm really excited about Micah. He's had a big experience the past few months, leaving the club he's been at from 6 years old, leaving home to come up here to a whole new environment. It's a massive learning curve, and he's improved. He's approached it and attacked it really well with how he's dealing with the things. He's got a bright future. We'll be patient with him, but I think he's got a lot to offer. I'm really looking forward to what's next for him. He's not played a lot of senior football, and he's had to learn an awful lot in the period since he's been here. There's no big deal and no dramas here. He's been absolutely fine. It's what I would have expected. From the experience he's had, where he's played, to then come here, and what we set out for our hopes for him, it's pretty much what I expected. I'm really excited and have really high hopes for him. Now,
I think we've been sold a pot completely, because when Carrick's saying about the experience he's had, he's just played academy football. He's like playing he's a conditioned player just to do the basics, i.e. receive the ball and pass it and move it on. But he's not even. There's nothing in this game that I see where it makes me excited. So I don't know where Carrick's coming from with that quote. I really don't.
no, I mean,
There's no give and go, is there? Like, you'll pass the
there's
ball,
no
you'll
zest.
run.
There's no zest in him. He's a boy yet to become a man, in my opinion. He's got to go on loan somewhere, Stockport County, wherever, Wickham. Just go and get smashed about every week and just ingrain yourself into proper football, because he's just a polished academy kid at the moment, and he's probably just played all his games on AstroTurf. Never played on him. Don't mean I see these kids all the time, through local leagues, and the 10 a penny, and he's got to be better. He had a big chance yesterday, huge chance against a very, very average team, and he produced nothing. He got hauled off on 63 minutes, which is even lower than Carrick's normal time of 70 minutes. So that's telling you something, isn't it? It's telling me that he's garbage and he needed to get him off as quick as he could. I'll give you 10 minutes second half, son. If you don't do anything, you're coming off. Well, he was off before he was probably scheduled to come off. So he's got to do more. Like Chris said, I don't want to beat on him either. But lad, come on, you got to do a bit more. Take your man on. Try things.
He's had opportunities. He's had opportunities. He's had 13 games. Fair enough. There's only 5 of them where he's played sort of 60 odd minutes, but he's had 5. I would say 5 decent opportunities this season. He hasn't took any of them. He hasn't scored a goal. He hasn't created a goal. He hasn't even looked, like you said, guys, is even beating a man and going on an exciting run down the line. He doesn't look fit enough to me.
No,
I might be wrong. It might just be his physical shape.
He looks sluggish.
He doesn't look fit enough to me. He looks like he could do with losing some pounds, and I don't know. He just doesn't look sharp for me. But I wish him well. He's only a young lad. He's 21. He's still got time. But from going from a lad that's got hopefully a good career ahead of him at Middlesbrough, Micah Hamilton, going to a player that's just departed Middlesbrough, Chris, Isaiah Jones, been at Middlesbrough quite a while. His opinions on Isaiah Jones it has fans split, really, doesn't it? A lot of fans think he's excellent. He's got so much untapped potential. On his day, he's a match winner. He can be exciting to watch. Other fans are on the side that where he's had his best years. He seems to have lost what he has. He's lost his pizzazz. He's lost his drive. He's lost his energy. He doesn't look bothered. He's had, well-documented off-field problems with mental health. He's apparently been homesick, wanting to get back down here where his family is in London, which has happened for him, getting the move to Luton. 148 games, 13 goals, 18 assists. What's your thoughts on Isaiah Jones' time at Middlesbrough, Chris?
I really like Isaiah. I'm sad to see him go. The last sort of 18 months, it just hasn't really worked. It just hasn't worked for him, has it? As you touched on there's a lot of off-the-field problems he's had, which nothing but sympathy for him on that one. I just think he's one of those players who, what was his best position? For me, it was under Wilder as a wing back. That was the best version of Isaiah Jones for me. because he was very good at getting back, getting tackles in. His work rate was high. In this system that Michael Carrick had with the 4-2-3-1 in playing on the right, I just don't think his end product was anywhere near good enough. I sit in the east stand closer to the north, and it was just so frustrating. The amount of times he got himself into some fantastic areas where you're thinking, right, later, for the cross, the through ball, the shot, and it would just either go out of play, go.
We're talking about Hamilton there.
Yeah, or go to keep his hands. And you're just thinking, if you just had that little bit extra, then because it's funny when I go to away games and you just chat with opposition fans in the pub beforehand or whatever, his name would always come up as someone who the opposition feared because of his pace and beating the man and all that, which he's still more than capable of, but it's just that end product that was just so frustrating that on his day, he was brilliant, one of the best wild players in this league. However, that day it went from 1 in every 3 games to 1 every 4, 1 every 5, 1 every 6, and just no level of consistency. So I wish him nothing but well at Luton. I think if they play him as a wing back, I think they've got a good player in their hands. It wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if he turned out to be a world beater when we go down there in March. But yeah, I wish he's nothing but the best.
I agree. What you've said there. To me, when he broke on the scene under Neil Warnock, I think he was playing wing back when he first come in, wasn't he? And he was really exciting, and he was almost like Doak before Doak. You were thinking, this guy, he's got no fear. He's taking everybody on, 2 and 3 players. He's having crosses. He's having shots. Exciting. But as it's developed through his Middlesbrough time, he's probably lacked end product massively. His stats suggest that goals and assists are nowhere near high enough for a top quality player or a player to grace the Premier League, certainly. On his day, like you say, Chris, can be as good as anything in this league, but those days have just disappeared, and we've went week after week, game after game, with nothing from the lad. Now, if that's his off-field problems, and he can reignite his career back down London, good luck to him. I wish him all the best. He's never caused a bit of bother at Middlesbrough, and he's obviously tried his best in a red shirt, and I wish him well, but I think it's a good deal, not just for Isaiah Jones, but also for Middlesbrough Football Club to get $5 million for a player that were signed from Tooting and Mitcham for peanuts a few years ago. I think it's a good deal for everybody, Graham, do you?
It's a brilliant deal. I was staggered at the amount of money we got for him because he has gone really, really stale. He's gone way off the boil. In his infancy at Boro, I was equally as excited as you guys. I thought he was excellent. His best days were in that little... We sort of played a little threesome in the corner with Crooks, Dykesdale and Jones, and under that Wilder wing-back system, worked a treat. We were getting a lot of joy. And yeah, he was excellent then, but for the last 18 months, he's gone way off the boil. He's just lost his confidence. Seems to have lost strength as well. He had a bit about him initially. He looks weak. He looks weak now, and the time has come for him to move on. The right move for everybody concerned, I think. Whatever's happened off the field, I wish him well. But when he was on the field, you could see that he was a completely different player. I'd probably say his song turned out better than him in the end. He had a great song, but he'll be remembered for the song for me for the last 18 months. But no, he's been a great servant, and time for him to move on. Though we need better, without being too harsh on him.
Little bit of transfer news this morning that broke from Luca Bendoni in Milan, saying that apparently Middlesbrough have received an €18 million bid for Atlanta United in the MLS for Latte Lat. €18 million plus €1 million add-ons is apparently what's come in. Whether that's 100% true or not, that's what the reports are this morning. Chris, come the end of January, do you still expect to see Doak and Latte Lat in a red shirt at Middlesbrough? Do you think we'll lose one or both?
I'm kind of 60-40 either way on each one, so I think Ben Doak will probably still be here. I'm 60-40, he's still here. Mainly because I think now Liverpool are probably looking at this now and thinking this kid's attracting a lot of interest now. We might as well just keep our palate dry until the summer, and then we can make a decision on what to do with him. There may be a club comes in late, deadline day or something, and gives him an offer they can't refuse, but I think he'll still be here. Latte Lat, I'm 60-40, he probably goes. His agent will be pushing hard for that deal. I don't really think we've given him any reason to expect us to try and persuade him to stay. I think if we were in a similar position to Sunderland, where you're thinking, right, we've still got a chance of the top two, outside it, if that, you might be able to put a case forward just to say, look, we're in a good position here, we need you, blah, 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 and all that sort of stuff. But no, I don't expect to be here. I think it probably will come down to, can we find a replacement, and will the fee be right? I know we've got Tommy Conway, but we can't just rely on one striker, because it was clear as day yesterday. If we sell that and then we just have Conway, Berzo is not a striker, and we will be in big trouble if we let that go and then Conway gets injured. We have to have Berzo as our striker. Now, it's not criticising him; he just isn't a striker.
It's a $1 million question, isn't it, Graham? It's we had Dom Shaw on, last week, and he was talking about, if Latialat goes, you can't really say it's Middlesbrough's new model as a club. They sign players for £2-3 million, like what Brentford have done, and Brighton and teams like that, and sell them on for big fees. We've done it with Morgan Rogers. We could do it again with Latialat. It's great business. It's a good model. It keeps Middlesbrough within the PSR, for the financial side of the game. I get all that, but also, like your friend and friend of the show, Bernie Slavin, talks about, Graham, as a supporter, it's disappointing, isn't it? Because you're basically watching your best players leave at crucial times in the season. It smacks of lack of ambition to me, and I think if we lose either or both, that's the end of Middlesbrough's season, Graham. Yeah,
I think if we lose Doak, we're effectively done. I think if we lose Lath and the timings aren't right and Conway doesn't come back fit, we're effectively done. It's interesting you mentioned about this model, which is fine. It's fine for keeping the club in business, which is paramount. But as fans, if we stick to that model, then realistically, we're going to finish 10th, 12th every season for the next 25 years. Because we're never ever going to get anywhere unless we're in that key area where Sunderland are, which Chris rightly says, they're on the cusp. If they go on another run, they could displace one of them second-place teams. Because they seem to have that balance just right. Then, Labris has come in, unknown. He's brought in a lot of players that nobody knew much about, and they've all performed. So he's got them playing with style in the system, and it's working brilliantly. We're just too indifferent and too consistently inconsistent for us to cement any form of a run. And it is worrying. But in terms of the model, yeah, it is. It's sustainable for us, but it's a little bit demoralising at the same time, because it is good when you can unearth the gem, but you're then worrying at the same time how long you can keep hold of these players. I personally think Doak will stay and he'll see out that deal, because it will be madness, in my opinion, for Liverpool to move him on. I can't even understand where the rumours have coming from that they want to move him on. For me, if Mo Salah moves on, then he's a replacement on that right-hand side for years to come, if they want to move in a slightly different direction. Let's say Lath, probably 60-40, like Chris says. Looks like he will go. It'd be nice if we could entice him to stay the remainder of the season with a deal already structured and set up to come into play in the summer. So effectively you promise him a move, and that should come to fruition. But if he's hurriedly moved on somewhere for whatever money, 15, 20 million, then so be it. But I was a little bit angered by him at the start of the season, which I thought was incredibly disruptive. So he's been a bit of a nuisance for me, to be honest. I don't like players like that can't make their minds up. He's got a mouth of his own. He could say to his agent, look, I'm happy here. I want to stay here. I want to try and get 25 goals. Then we'll have a look at it in the summer. But there's too much interest. He can go wherever he wants, but just not Leeds. Couldn't stand that. But no, because it'd be me all day, I can't be arsed with that.
And the frustrating thing for me is, the model, fantastic. That is, we've seen the club's finances this week. Absolutely understand why the model's there. However, I just don't agree with selling players in January. Yeah. If you want to sell them in the summer. I mean, Morgan Rogers in January, we sold him. We got reasonable money for him, but you're thinking, if we'd have kept him, would we have got a few more points and would that have got us in those playoff places? Who knows? We don't know. We might do, might not. But if we let Laf go in January, what use is that money? It's just sat there. We won't be able to spend it because January is notoriously the worst time to buy players. So I have no issue as a fan. I completely understand the model: sign players, develop them, sell them, no problem. But when you're doing it mid-season, it's no use because it's just disruptive. The whole point of the model is that you're meant to, you're trading players. You're meant to trade in the club's positions also meant to go up, and if you're selling them halfway through the season, then it defeats the purpose, then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But we seem too nice as a club, Chris, for them type of decisions. It's like, Matt Crooks, for example, he wanted to leave Middlesbrough apparently because he had a big opportunity to go to the MLS. He was contracted to Middlesbrough. It was an important time in the season. And Middlesbrough decided to let Matt Crooks go because his family wanted to go to America. Off he goes to America. We done him the favour. Off he goes. He's playing for Hull now.
Yeah.
So that big American adventure, within 12 months, he's back playing for Hull. We shouldn't have done him the favour. We should have kept him till the end of the season and said, you'll go when we want you to go, because at the moment we need you. And I feel the same with Morgan Rogers in a way. Yes, the money was fantastic. We got great business at the time, signing him for $1 million, getting 16 million back for him. Morgan Rogers wanted to go to his boyhood club, back to Birmingham to play for Aston Villa. Okay, I get that. But we want to make the playoffs and we want to make the Premier League, Morgan. So what we'll do is we'll send you to Aston Villa in the summer.
Exactly.
When it suits us, and you can still get your move. And not only that, like you've just said, Chris, if you had continued his development with Middlesbrough for further 6 months, we might have got 30 million for him in the summer because he would have been even better again. And I feel exactly the same now about Latte Lat. He's rattled in another 10 goals. People are saying, but if you can get £20 million for him now, we've only signed him for 3-4 million quid. Well, let him score another 10, 15 goals till the end of the season.
There's value increase.
If we don't make the Premier League, sell him for 30 million in the summer. Look after your own first, and I feel Middlesbrough are too nice on that front.
You mentioned, Dicko, about Crooksy going to Salt Lake City and then ending up at Hull. You could see something happening with Latte Lat if he goes to Atlanta United. He could be back in England within a year, playing for whoever,
Yeah.
So the grass isn't always greener. But I just think the whole transfer system in January is a total nonsense. It really is. It's agent driven. The managers don't want it. I'm not even sure half the players want it sometimes. It's just very disrupting. But it tells you where we're at with Lath, who's obviously been trying to engineer a move for far too long, and it's been disruptive to us. He has contributed, but in my opinion, he could have contributed a lot more this season.
One final bit of transfer info, which I would personally like to see happen, is on the goalkeeping front, where Bournemouth's second-choice goalkeeper, Mark Travers, has been linked with a move to either Middlesbrough or Watford. I've seen the lad play a few times. I think he's a good goalkeeper. I think he's a good size. He's 6'3". He's a good age. He's 25-year-old. He's got a lot to prove in the game. He broke on the scene as a young lad at Bournemouth as a teenager in the Premier League. Had a big reputation at the time. He was part of the Bournemouth team that got promoted in 2021-2022, playing 41 games for them that season. I remember watching him at the Riverside in a game that Middlesbrough won 1-0. Andres Sparrar scored the penalty, would beat Bournemouth 1-0. And Travers had an excellent game that day in front of the North Stand. So I think that's a position we can improve on. Again, after watching on Saturday, a shaky display by our goalkeeper, didn't look, Tom Glover, he looked bereft of confidence. People have actually, even Dom Shaw last week said he's done good. Glover, he's come in, he's kept a few clean sheets, he made a couple of saves, but you just know it's in his makeup to make mistakes. He hasn't had a lot to do, and if he's playing in a game for Middlesbrough and he's under pressure, severe pressure, the chances are there's going to be a mistake happening. So I think for Middlesbrough to improve the goalkeeping position would give us more chance of making those playoffs. And if we make the playoffs, more chance of going up. So I would be all for it and bringing him in. As I say, he had a loan at Stoke as well, Travers, where he'd done very well at Stoke. They wanted to keep him, but he went back to Bournemouth. He's played for Republic of Ireland. He's an international goalkeeper. So that would be a deal, even if it's a loan deal till the end of the season. That would be one I'd be interested in happening. Either you guys agree with that, or are you happy with what we've got?
No, I'd agree with you, Dicko. Goalkeepers Union, you'll know. I've not seen too much of him, so I can't go into detail about his abilities. But from what you've just said, then I'm confident that he'll be better than what we've got. Because
what he is, Bandy, he's a good shot stopper, actually. And that, I know this sounds ridiculous to
That's
say,
his job.
but like Roy Keane says, that's his job. That's your job to say.
No,
But you know, our goalkeepers actually aren't good shot stoppers. If you look at Dieng and Tom Glover's ratio of saves per shots, they're not very good shot stoppers. To be fair,
where would he fit in Carrick's way of playing in terms of the ball at his feet? Is he that type of keeper, or is he a generic goalkeeper that jumps and catches the ball and it sticks to his gloves?
I don't think he's an Edison. Don't get us wrong, but I think he's competent with his feet. But I'm old school. I don't care.
No,
to me,
we've had this conversation loads,
the job's keeping the ball out the back of the net. Our best goalkeeper that we've had at the Riverside in the last good few years is Darren Randolph. Darren Randolph was an incredible shot stopper. He's made some of the greatest saves I've ever seen at the Riverside. He was a fantastic goalkeeper, but he was hopeless with his feet. His distribution was terrible. I'll take Dan Randolph all day long over the goalkeepers that have replaced him since.
We kept clean sheets back then, didn't we?
Yeah. So for me,
I can imagine the keeper coming into Rockcliffe and Carrick saying, you know, which foot do you kick with, son? Is it your left or your right? He says, well, I've got a pair of hands here. He says, oh, don't worry about them.
I'm just going to push the prize draw for the podcast, because we'll have one every month, courtesy of Midas Cladden of Middlesbrough. And for this month, you have to watch the socials on X. We'll post something on the socials, and what we want you to do is retweet it and follow us on X, the Typical Boro podcast on X, and you'll go into the draw. And this month, what we're going to do is, if you go on Middlesbrough's website to the club shop, you'll see they've got retro shirts for sale, and they've got the walkout jerseys that are very popular at the moment, that the players walk out on home and away. What we're going to say this month is, you can pick any retro shirt or any walkout jersey that's available in the club shop, and if you obviously are the winner, that'll be your prize. So nice. We're going to stick something out on the socials this week to explain everything. Just retweet it, follow us on X, and you can be a winner. The same as some other people. I think, Chris, have you been a winner?
Yeah. Start the season, yeah.
Yeah, so it does happen, folks.
So it does happen.
It does happen.
There was a few players yesterday who won a competition to play.
Right, to wrap things up, just going into the next 6 fixtures, we've got Portsmouth coming up on Saturday, and we've got a right mixed bag. And I think because of our poor start that Chris keeps alluding to every season, our poor start, we're always playing catch-up Middlesbrough, trying to catch, play. And we're in a position now where we really need to be winning 4 out of 6 or 5 out of 6 games just to keep pace with the teams in and around us and to keep that gap from the teams below us. Next 6 games, Portsmouth away at Fratton Park, they're 21st. West Brom at home, who are 6th. Preston away, who are 15th. Followed by the Derby game against Sunderland at home, who are 4th. Stoke away, who are 19th. And then Sheffield United away, who are 3rd. Wow. Those are difficult fixtures for me, for various reasons. And to try and win 4 out of them 6 or 5 out of those 6, for me, is looking like a real tough ask, Bandy, yeah?
Huge abs. This is the vital, the critical point now. What I was saying, where we've hit a bit of a wall. We need to go again. We need to get going quickly. I would ask, firstly, when's Morris back? Because without him in any of them games, it's going to be very, very hard. He might make a difference when he comes back, but he's got to get up to speed as well. Portsmouth away, horrendous game really after such a bad performance yesterday. We've got to be bang at it there. West Brom at home, awful. They might come, low block, struggle to break them down. Preston, we've got a terrible record there. We take huge numbers there and we always let the fans down. Sunderland, very tricky. Sheffield United, equally as tricky. And what was the other one? Stoke
away.
Yeah. I mean, they're quite a good young enterprise inside now.
Having said that game I think is going to be rearranged, isn't it? It's going to be rearranged, because of the Stoke beating Sunderland yesterday. That'll be rearranged. So, yeah, so we'll probably scrap that one off for now. Thankfully, actually.
Watford at home after Sheffield United.
Yeah, that's right. Watford at home, yeah.
On current form, it's hard to predict a win. That's being brutally honest. There might be a few hard-fought draws in there, but where's that win coming from? I'm struggling. We've got to turn it round quickly.
Well, they're going to have to come, aren't they, Chris? They're going to have to come.
Yeah.
The wins are going to have to come, and they're going to have to start straight away on Saturday against Portsmouth, Chris, aren't they?
Well, yeah, because like Bandy, I'm looking at these fixtures here. It may not be as bad now. Coburn's up there, but West Brom will come here and they will sit deep and they will just break us down. How many times have we seen we can't do that? And then when Sunderland come, I mean, I was at the stadium light for that one. Kick off, ball comes back, ball goes to Edmondson. Edmondson sticks his foot on it, waiting for the press. There's no press. Yeah. Sunderland had zero interest in pressing us or taking the game to us because they knew how to beat us. Lebris adapted his system and they basically played like the away team at home. So they're going to do exactly the same at the Riverside. So that's 2 games there where we can expect to have lots of the ball and have to break a team down. So I'm not really looking forward massively to those next 2 home games. But the away games, Portsmouth, we have to win. And this is what I keep talking about, the margin for error. We just constantly give ourselves no margin for error because of the poor starts. So whereas like Sunderland now, they could lose the next 2 games. They think, well, yeah, okay, top 2 was never really a thing, but we're comfortable in the playoffs. Whereas we're constantly thinking, right, we need to win the next game, or rise. You know, you're leaving the ground afterwards, checking the league table, thinking, are we still in the playoffs?
Yeah.
So the 2 away games, I think, especially a massive. Portsmouth and Preston need 6 points from there. West Brom, we need to find a way to break teams down. And I know we've been saying this for a year now, but it really is getting to the point where we're going to have to find a way because these next 2 teams visit the Riverside will sit in a low block. And then you've got Sheffield United away, which, yeah. I mean, I know you went to Burnley as well, Bandy. I went to Burnley and afterwards...
We were excellent.
I was convinced we clicked. I thought we clicked.
Me too. I was buzzing after that game because they're a bloody good team. They're very, very good. And they've got movement, strength, agility everywhere across the pitch. And we matched them. And we actually outplayed them at times through midfield. Got a great goal from Dijksteel. Had the better of the chances all night. So we more than matched them. But that level of performance is too infrequent. We've got to be doing that every single week. Then I would be just in my prediction slightly and thinking there's quite a few wins there for us. But at the moment, I just don't. I'm not filled with confidence where we can go somewhere and win, possibly Portsmouth, but we have to turn up. We have to have the owners to go down there because that'll be horrendous there. It'd be tough.
One frightening curveball to think about, guys, as well, is those fixtures we've just listed there. Can you imagine going into those fixtures without a Lat or a Doak?
Like I said, if Doak goes, then we're done. And if Lat goes without the Conway, crossover, we're done as well, I think.
Yeah.
Don't forget, though, we might get Sammy Silvera back. He's gone down the storm at Portsmouth, apparently. I think they want to drive him back up,
some of the comments were horrific. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the model. We bring in players and we hope that we can develop them. Some develops, others don't. He's one that hasn't kicked on. I fear that Hamilton will go down the same route, but there's fans out there who say give him time and stuff. But how long do you give a player? I can generally look at a player over maybe 5-10 games and decide for myself if he's good enough or not. And sometimes I'm wrong, sometimes I'm right. So there's no method really. It's subjective whether you rate a player or not. But I just don't see a player there. And I see Riley going that way now. One of my favourite players. First name on the team sheet. Looks like he's one of the last ones on the team sheet now because he just doesn't look interested.
Yeah. It's been heartbreaking for me to watch the fall of Riley McGree because he was
tragic,
always first name on the team sheet. And as much as I think Berzo has done well when he has come in, he as a footballer, he just isn't Riley McGree. But I can't. I think I did predict Carrick Regan some of Friday, but I can't believe that you've not predicted Riley McGree to start because they know how much I like him. But I'm like, I can't make an argument for him to be starting at the minute over Berzo, which I never thought I'd hear myself say. Watching him on Saturday was just tragic.
Can I make one final point, Dicko, regarding Carrick? I meant to say before because I'm looking at you're on about his managerial style. He'll stand, he'll just sort of stroke his beard. He won't give any instruction to any player. He just observes. We don't know what he says in the dressing room. It'd be nice to be a fly on the wall to see if he does actually get angry. I would love him to show some anger, some passion, kick a few water bottles or something, just to show that he feels the same as what we feel as fans. However, looking at some of the players he's played with in that fantastic Man United team, absolute warriors that would run through brick walls. He's been coached under Sir Alex. I don't see anything in his management style to suggest that he can really, really motivate. he's probably an arm round the player type manager, but I would love him to show some anger.
Well, he's going to have to show some motivation on Saturday against Portsmouth for sure to get anything, because
that's what concerns me, whether he can.
It's a tough place to go down there. I know they're down the bottom of the league in 21st, but Fratton Park's a tough place. The crowd will be right on top of the players, and it's then, can these players of Middlesbrough, I've already mentioned, that don't seem to want to roll up the sleeves, can they go down there at the South Coast and can they come back with the 3 points? Because I'm getting fed up with doing these podcasts like this. I want to come on here next week with a really good Middlesbrough performance, 100% commitment, and talk about the good win in Middlesbrough pushing up the league rather than hanging on by their lives to the playoffs. So anyway, that's all we've got time for again. So I'd like to thank yourselves for coming on. Chris, Bandy, brilliant as ever. Thanks for coming on.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Oh, brilliant, Chris. We'll get you on again. So that's it. Thank you very much. Remember, Middlesbrough fans, don't see a Typical Boro. Watch it. Listen to it.